I am a liar. Actually, we all are liars. Now, don't look to your left, don't look to your right. You're God, don't raise your hand, because we all are liars. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I tell the truth most of the time. I think I'm a pretty honest person, and that might be the case, but lying isn't just what we say. Lying is what we think. So these are a few of my lies that I've believed in the past. I believed that my grades defined who I was, and if I didn't get those grades, well, I just wasn't the same person. I believed that my reputation was based on the friendships I had and who I associated with. And then I believed that those feelings that I had on the inside I felt should never surface because they were vulnerable. Vulnerability is uncomfortable and weakness. Those are the lies I believed. Those will be continued to be replaced by new lies because I'm a liar. And that's what we do as liars. So I found the truth through a population that has no social media presence, no stable income, and no home address. So when I was 14, I participated in administering some routine care to a group of people that lived on Allen Street. Little did I know, these people lived under the bridge on Allen Street. So I felt like I was intruding in on someone's home uninvited. I sat there on the concrete quietly until one thin, bearded man sat down, just started talking. In the middle of the conversation, I found out this man's name was Squirrel. Yeah, like the animal. His name was Squirrel. Squirrel talked about every moment from when he was born to that moment in 2014. But with every raspy word, Squirrel drew me in. At the end of our conversation, he leaned in close. He looked left and right. He became very serious and he said, "Would you like to see my prized possessions?" Terrified, I said, "Okay." And Squirrel turns around and whips out these three, let's say, well-loved books. Books I'd seen before, classics I'd been assigned in school and maybe didn't like so much. But Squirrel had read and reread and read these books because they were his prized possessions. How unfair. Because I went home and thought about all the books I had at home, all the books I had access to at school, and Squirrel didn't have access to those same resources. 5 years later, I'm the founder of an organization called the Open Book Project, and we have benefited the homeless community of Tarrant County with over 10,000 books. And through this, we found that the simple relationship between a book and a person is something that can bring people together that might seem so different. So I found my truth through Squirrel. I found that those grades that I was so worried about and obsessed over, those didn't define me. What defined me is the way I loved others, the way I care for others, and the way I treat others. And that reputation that I was so worried about, I would choose to stake my reputation in the hands of the homeless people because those are the true friendships that I've made, the genuine relationships. And those feelings that I never wanted to bring to the surface because I didn't want to show any sort of vulnerability, that's what I found brought the closest connection because we became that we could find a relationship over something that seemed so small we could share. And so I found my truth through Squirrel. So now I ask you, how do you find your own truth? Do you find your truth in that big hug your daughter might give you after a long day at work? Do you find your truth in that warm glazed donut you might get every Sunday morning from your church family? Or do you find your truth in how rapidly your dog might wag its tail when you come home? Now, if you've been continually lying to yourself like I have, all I have to ask you is why? Why spend your short amount of time here on earth lying to yourself and deceiving yourself? Why not find your Squirrel? Thank you.